Good morning, everybody. It is 9 a.m. here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. We are covering a number of stories for you this morning. The Pentagon wrapping up a press briefing on the second week of the conflict in Iran. As part of their coverage, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and General Dan Keynes confirming that 4 additional U.S. crew members confirmed dead from a crash with a refueling plane crash in Iraq. And we are learning more as well about the Supreme Leader, Hegseth saying that the Supreme Leader is likely disfigured and wounded with injuries. And we'll continue to follow that. We'll bring you that briefing later on this hour or next hour here on Live Impact News and play that for you in its entirety. In the meantime, locally here in the Charlotte area, we're following a sad situation with a driver that hit a 7-year-old who was walking at the bus stop, failed to stop at that bus stop, and so hit the kid while the kid was walking to the bus. The child is recovering. We are waiting to learn what the severity of their injuries are, but we will bring you that information as we learn more on WCNC Charlotte. Also today, ACC tournament continuing in Uptown. Our Miles Harris is there covering things for us. He's going to send us a little video for the preview for today. I was happy to learn that Miami won yesterday. Yay. Barely won. Ooh, they pulled it out, girls.
I saw it. Ooh. I saw that last night.
I was monitoring things very closely.
They play again today.
And they play again today. And so I'll be...
Good luck to you.
Thank you very much. I brought some orange and green in case my husband can pull off getting some last-minute tickets.
Hey!
Oh, that would be fun.
So
Figure it out.
that is his assignment today. So maybe I'll be going there after work. In the meantime, I did bring the sweatshirt, the jacket, all of the things, because I notice it's frosty out there on top of our vehicles.
Yeah.
Welcome back, Winter.
What are you doing? We wanted to push you to the side, Winter.
I know.
Seriously?
Yesterday I was in a frilly dress, and today I have my wool blazer on.
I know.
I'm over it.
I'm still wearing my, figure skating outfit.
I didn't
love
see your
it.
figure. Look at you.
I love it.
Oh my, I love this.
Yeah.
Change it. Yep.
Let's
Yep.
take a super
Yep.
down.
There she
Yeah,
is.
you got little sparkles.
Oh, I love it.
It's Friday.
I would wear that.
So, Carlene brought that up. She's like, your figures. Yeah, it's Winter Olympics still.
Perfect. I
Yeah,
love
still in
it.
Winter
Yeah.
This week has been odd because I feel like you've worn your summer dress. You have your wool blazer on now.
Yeah. Who
People in the
knows?
Carolinas are like, this is the norm. This is March.
This is
Yeah,
March.
it is.
Right?
This is March.
And because people sort of, they get the false alarm with the warm
Yeah.
temperatures, they start gardening and then realize, oh my gosh, we're dropping below freezing again.
Yeah.
Yikes.
And bad news. If you think this morning's cold, we have even colder temperatures on the way.
Oh, come on.
But I have the good news before that. So
Okay.
let's get to it
Okay.
because at least we're waking up to sunny skies. I mean, what a nice way to start out the weekend. Clear skies, cold temperatures. Just grab a jacket. You'll be fine. By the afternoon, you'll probably be throwing it aside. We're already seeing those temperatures warm just a bit here in Charlotte. 41 degrees. It is so pretty outside. So if you're somebody who enjoys getting some fresh air early in the day, what a nice day to do that. As we're looking out towards, Lancaster, 37 degrees there. We're seeing temperatures that are finally starting to rise because earlier this morning they were into the upper 20s as well across the board. Lots of people upper 20s right around freezing. Now we're preparing you for just a beautiful Friday, and of course those temperatures, they'll gradually warm once the sun is really starting to shine and we head towards the afternoon. Lylesville also looks pretty this morning. Monroe, I've been loving all of our live cameras. It's one of those gorgeous Carolina days where it doesn't matter if you're in the mountains, you're in the city, or even at the beach, the weather is spectacular, and tomorrow it gets even better. Tomorrow, we're looking at nice temperatures. We're going to turn up the heat even more, so do you have plans for your Saturday? If you do, it's going to be beautiful. We're talking mid-70s, sunny skies. I know the St. Patrick's Day Parade is going on in Uptown. The weather is going to be perfect for that. Charlotte FC game. I know the Whitewater Center, they have their big St. Patrick's Day festivities going on Saturday. So I plan on getting out Saturday. On Sunday, I still think conditions are going to be actually pretty mild. A little bit more cloud coverage. Temperatures still into the low 70s, but then we have scattered showers moving in Sunday afternoon. But Monday's the day that you need to be weather aware because we have a strong cold front pushing through, similar to the one we had yesterday, but this one could even be a little stronger. Still, let's stick with what's going on right now. Satellite and radar looks perfect across the Carolinas. I mean, we have clear conditions out there. Now, with clear skies, you wake up to those cold mornings because when we have those clouds overnight and early in the morning, they just act like a blanket. They help to insulate us. So when we have those clear conditions in the morning time and a nice calm wind, we also see frosty conditions. And I heard from many of you saying that you had frost outside on the grass, maybe on your car, and those temperatures were chilly. Yes, that is the big story this morning. Look at how much colder it is right now compared to yesterday at this time. We're 28 degrees colder here in the Queen City. Out towards Chirac, 34 degrees colder. Now, we've been dealing with record warm. So even though it's been warm over the last couple of days, several days really, that's not the norm. Our normal high temperature for this time of the day, this time of the year is 63 degrees, and we should see those lows drop down to about the 40s. So this morning, we're a little bit below that, still lingering in the 30s, but sometimes it's just a little refreshing, especially when the sky is blue, the sun's out, and you know it's going to be warmer. It's not a bad looking day. Let's take a look at those temperatures all across the area. Maybe you're packing up the family, heading out to the mountains this weekend. It's going to be beautiful. Mid-50s this afternoon there in Boone. 66 in Chirac. Out there in Rock Hill, plan for right around those mid-60s. So across the board, it's beautiful. Saturday, if you're maybe planning on firing up the barbecue, having a barbecue outside, it'd be a good day to do that. I might do that. It is going to be nice temperatures right around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 73 degrees. And we're talking about sunshine by about dinner time, 6 o'clock, still 73. So whether you're firing up the grill or finding a nice patio to go spend some time out this weekend, it'd be a good day to do it today or tomorrow. And like I mentioned, Sunday, warm temperatures still, low 70s, but I think we will have more cloud coverage push through and then scattered showers later on in the day. Drought monitor. Remember, we get updates and we get this released every week for us. Unfortunately, we have not seen any great changes at all. We are still incredibly dry across both North and South Carolina. Remember, this does not account for the rain that we had yesterday. And so next Thursday, I think we'll actually, at least fingers crossed, we'll have some improvements from the rain we got yesterday, plus the rain that's on the way, especially on Monday. So let's kind of dive into that a little bit, focusing now on the precipitation because we have none today. It is just beautiful. As we're heading into Saturday, maybe you like to wake up, get out early. It's going to be so comfortable. 40s in the morning. By the afternoon, mid 70s. Rain showers. We're at 40% on Sunday. And it's mainly just scattered rain, so not everyone's going to see it on Sunday. And it's not even a washout. It's just maybe a little inconvenient if you were going to be, I don't know, playing football or baseball or at the soccer field, something like that. By Monday, more widespread rain. I mean, this front that we're watching on Monday is going to pack a punch. This is something that you need to be ready for. And sometimes it's hard when you're heading into the weekend and the weather's so nice. Sometimes you just don't really think about the weather over the weekend. And then Monday rolls around and boom, we have some big time storms coming. So here's our future cast. I want to fast forward straight into our Monday. So Monday, do you see that strong line of storms? That starts to push east. This is 2 o'clock in the morning on Monday. I mean, I don't think we'll have great impacts by this point. Really, as we fast forward, here's 7 o'clock in the morning on Monday. I think this is when we start to tap into some of that rain, impactful rain, because, well, kids are heading to school, you're getting yourself to work, you're doing what you need to do, and the rain is coming down. That front then pushes across the Carolinas, and this, I think, is when it's actually going to be the messiest. So early afternoon, and here's the problem with that. The timing of the arrival of the front, it makes a difference. So as we're heading into Monday afternoon, it is going to be warmer, mild temperatures. We're going to be working with warmth, a little bit of humidity. The storms will have the energy that they need to actually develop. And the more red and orange you see on Futurecast, the worse the weather will likely be. Of course, things will change just a bit, but models have been pretty consistent over the last couple of days that we know there's going to be a lot of rain. We know that the threat of storms will be there. And even today, it seems like that storm threat is heightening. By Monday afternoon and into the evening, that storm system's off to the east, but then back behind it, we have really cold temperatures again. It's cold this morning, but watch what happens. As we're heading through Tuesday morning, we'll wake up to about 30 degrees. We weren't that cold here in Charlotte this morning. On Wednesday morning, 25 degrees. So getting very, very cold on Wednesday morning. And I know some of you are tempted to, go work out in your yard, do what you want to do. You want to plant, you want to bring the flowers, you're ready for it, but do not do it. It's too early still. We have these huge temperature swings where we're going from nearly 90 degrees now to 25 degrees. I have noticed a lot of people have been out working in their yards and actually doing a little bit of lawn mowing. That might be something to do tomorrow. But as far as those cold temperatures, we're watching for a freeze early next week behind that front. Jerry Hunt Supercenter 7-day forecast. It looks like this. So overall today, sunny skies, warming up. Yes, it's a little cold this morning, but 64 degrees for our high temperature this afternoon. Lows tonight if you have Friday night plans. It's going to be all right. 42, just grab a jacket with you, whether it's tonight or early Saturday morning. Saturday is going to be a beautiful day. I'm excited because I feel like the last couple of Saturdays it's been kind of gray and gloomy first, and you have to wait several hours before the sunshine finally comes out. I think Saturday you wake up, you're drinking your coffee, you open up your curtains, and the sunshine should already be out there. Sunday, more clouds pushing through, scattered showers. Remember, not a washout, maybe just a little inconvenience. Monday is the more serious weather day because of that strong line of storms. Again, because likely we'll see the worst of it early in the afternoon hours, that does increase the overall storm chances. And then back behind it, St. Patrick's Day. It's on Tuesday. We'll be waking up to 30 degrees and then highs only into the mid 40s. That's closer to where we should be for a low instead of a high. But thankfully by Thursday, I mean, we're warming things up. We're just on that roller coaster ride. Lots of things going on. And I think temperatures, of course, always play a big role in that.
Yeah, the sun also makes a big difference.
Yes.
As far as the cooler temps, you can kind of tolerate a lot of that. And we need the rain.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Just the storms. Those are the things that we don't necessarily need. But I think just preparing people ahead of time,
Right, yeah.
Mondays come
Monday goes
fast.
yeah.
Right.
It's like, what happened to the weekend? Oh, yeah, I forgot the storms were coming. But yeah, I think Monday's going to be a messy one. Storm potential highest in the early afternoon hours.
Okay. All right. Yeah, because I just put a little seed in my
There you go.
head.
Don't forget.
Monday morning, though, maybe a little
It could be rainy.
rainy for that commute.
Yep, and
the
then it
kids.
seems like the front, as of now, passes through early afternoon.
Wear your
All right.
wellies.
All right, get the dogs out
What are
this
wellies?
weekend.
Little.
Oh,
rain
jelly
boots.
shoes?
The little wellies.
Well, yeah.
Rain boots.
Oh, those are cute.
Yeah.
I don't have those.
I got
Yeah.
my wellies.
I need some
need some
rain
wellies.
boots.
Yeah. They are.
I need some new ones.
I was gonna say.
Mine
I
have-
usually get them after the
Mine had
season's
some
over.
wear and tear.
There, yes. I brought my boots and my umbrella yesterday morning.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't need them going out
Yeah.
because it was all nice
Prepared.
and sunny.
Yeah, it was
So,
nice.
That was awesome. All right, Majestic Storm, thank you so much.
Have a good
coming in.
weekend.
Have a good weekend too. We'll be right back on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Here at 9:16 on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus, Alice Barr from NBC News covering the latest in the conflict in Iran as it enters the end of the second week. And again, just to let you know, the Pentagon also wrapped a briefing. We will play this briefing if you missed it in our 8 o'clock on WCNC Plus. We'll play that for you again as well. But let's get you caught up with Alice Barr on WCNC Plus.
The U.S. military now confirming at least 4 American service members died when their refueling aircraft went down in western Iraq, noting the incident was not due to hostile or friendly fire and that the circumstances are under investigation, along with rescue efforts for 2 other crew members. That amid a pair of attacks raising concerns about potential threats to the homeland. In Michigan, an armed man drove his car into a Detroit area synagogue and down a hall while a preschool was in session. Security guards at Temple Israel shot at the driver and he was found dead inside.
We are leading the investigation right now as a targeted act of violence against the Jewish community.
No children or temple staff were hurt in the attack, but one security officer was injured, and roughly 30 officers were hospitalized for smoke inhalation after the suspect's car caught on fire. The Department of Homeland Security now identifying that suspect as 41-year-old Ayman Mohammed Ghazali, a U.S. citizen originally from Lebanon.
It's a terrible thing. We're going to be right down to the bottom of it.
While in Norfolk, Virginia, a shooting at Old Dominion University is being investigated as a potential act of terrorism. Investigators say 36-year-old Mohammed Baylor Jallo targeted an ROTC class, killing Army Lieutenant Colonel Brandon Shaw and injuring 2 other Army personnel, before authorities say a group of brave students subdued the suspect, who also died. Jallo, a former member of the Virginia National Guard, was arrested in 2016 for attempting to provide material support to ISIS, according to court documents that also show he pleaded guilty to a terrorism-related charge and was released from prison under supervision in 2024. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
And she mentioned the attack on that synagogue in Michigan. This is a live picture right now, where very soon the Michigan governor is expected to give a live press conference. Gretchen Whitmer, and this on the attack at Temple Israel in West Bloomfield. So when that happens, I know earlier we were watching some of the photojournalists setting up mics. So potentially this should be happening relatively shortly. It was on our docket for 9:15. But again, this about yesterday's attack on the Michigan synagogue, where the suspected attacker, we have learned, again, from Lebanon, originally from Lebanon, but a U.S. citizen, and authorities also saying that although killed by an Israeli, the Temple Israel security lost several family members in an Israeli airstrike in Lebanon last week, according to NBC News. Again, once we see that happen, we will bring that to you live on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Right now, we will start the playback, if you will, on the Pentagon briefing on the conflict in Iran. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, as well as Joint Chiefs of Staff Chair General Dan Kane, giving this morning, just wrapping up here moments ago.
Good morning. I'll start, as we often do here at the Department of War, with the bottom line up front. For the world to hear and the press to actually admit that the United States is decimating the radical Iranian regime's military in a way the world has never seen before. Never before has a modern, capable military, which Iran used to have, been so quickly destroyed and made combat ineffective, devastated. We said it would not be a fair fight, and it has not been. As I stated during our first press conference on day 2, that was 10 short days ago, the combination of the world's 2 most powerful air forces is unprecedented and unbeatable. Between our Air Force and that of the Israelis, over 15,000 enemy targets have been struck. That's well over 1,000 a day. No other combination of countries in the world can do that. So today, as we speak, we fly over the top of Iran and Tehran. Fighters and bombers all day, picking targets as they choose. As our intelligence gets better and better and more refined. Looking up, the IRGC and Iranian regime sees only 2 things on the side of aircraft: the Stars and Stripes and the Star of David. The evil regime's worst nightmare. Iran has no air defenses. Iran has no air force. Iran has no navy. Their missiles, their missile launchers and drones being destroyed or shot out of the sky. Their missile volume is down 90%. Their one-way attack drones yesterday, down 95%. And as the world is seeing, they are exercising sheer desperation in the Straits of Hormuz. Something we're dealing with, we have been dealing with it, and don't need to worry about it. We're on plan to defeat, destroy, disable all of their meaningful military capabilities at a pace the world has never seen before. But it's not just that Iran doesn't have a functioning air force, or that their entire navy is at the bottom of the Persian Gulf, or their missile force is shrinking daily. Even more importantly, they also don't have the ability to build more. That's the most important component I'd like to emphasize today. Soon, and very soon, all of Iran's defense companies will be destroyed. For example, as of 2 days ago, Iran's entire ballistic missile production capacity, every company that builds every component of those missiles, has been functionally defeated, destroyed. Buildings, complexes, and factory lines all across Iran destroyed. So we're shooting down and destroying what missiles they still have in stock, but more importantly, ensuring that they have no ability to make more. Their production lines, their military plants, their defense innovation centers, defeated. Iran's leadership is in no better shape. Desperate and hiding, they've gone underground, cowering. That's what rats do. We know the new so-called not-so-supreme leader is wounded and likely disfigured. He put out a statement yesterday, a weak one, actually, but there was no voice and there was no video. It was a written statement. He called for unity. Apparently killing tens of thousands of protesters is his kind of unity. Iran has plenty of cameras and plenty of voice recorders. Why a written statement? I think you know why. His father, dead. He's scared, he's injured, he's on the run, and he lacks legitimacy. It's a mess for them. Who's in charge? Iran may not even know. With every passing hour, we know, and we know they know, that the military capabilities of their evil regime are crumbling. They can barely communicate, let alone coordinate. They're confused, and we know it. Our response? We will keep pressing. We will keep pushing, keep advancing, no quarter, no mercy for our enemies. Yet some in this crew, in the press, just can't stop. Allow me to make a few suggestions. People look up at the TV and they see banners, they see headlines. I used to be in that business, and I know that everything is written intentionally. For example, a banner or a headline, Mideast war intensifies, splashing on the screen the last couple of days, alongside visuals of civilian or energy targets that Iran has hit, because that's what they do. What should the banner read instead? How about Iran increasingly desperate? Because they are. They know it, and so do you, if it can be admitted. Or more fake news from CNN. Reports that the Trump administration underestimated the Iran war's impact on the Strait of Hormuz. Patently ridiculous, of course. For decades, Iran has threatened shipping in the Strait of Hormuz. This is always what they do, hold the strait hostage. CNN doesn't think we thought of that. It's a fundamentally unserious report. The sooner David Ellison takes over that network, the better. Another example of a fake headline that I saw yesterday, war widening. Here's a real headline for you for an actual patriotic press. How about Iran shrinking, going underground? You see, Iran's leaders are hiding in bunkers and moving into civilian areas. The only thing that is widening is our advantage. Not to mention our Gulf partners stepping up even more, now going on the offense, and have always been with us on the defense with collective and integrated air defenses. Our will, it is unshakable. Our options, maximized, and our capabilities still building. We're going up, they're going down. As I said from the start, President Trump holds the cards. He'll determine the pace, the tempo, and the timing of this conflict. His hand firmly on the wheel, as well as on the throttle setting. America first, peace through strength, in action. From day one, as our nation expects and the President demands, our warriors have fought with lethality, precision, and rapid innovation. In fact, today will be, yet again, the highest volume of strikes that America has put over the skies of Iran and Tehran. The number of sorties and number of bomber pulses, the highest yet, ramping up and only up. And quantity has a quality of its own as we continue to ramp up. Every tool of AI, of cyber, of space, EW, counter-UAS, you name it, we're employing it. Blinding, confusing, and deceiving our enemy. Because we know who the good guys are here. And the American people do too. And that makes my job simple. I serve God, the troops, the country, the Constitution, and the President of the United States, and answer only to those. All in service of victory on the battlefield and the military objectives that we've laid out from day one. Defeat the missiles, missile launchers, and defense industrial base, which I laid out today. Defeat the Navy and deny Iran the ability to have a nuclear weapon. Clear, decisive, achievable. And Admiral...
All right, we're going to put a pin in that conversation briefing from the Pentagon, and we'll continue to play that out for you here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. But we do need to take a break here. We'll be right back in 2 minutes with a special guest. Welcome back to Live Impact News here on WCNC Plus. Time right now is 9:31, and this morning, a really cool thing's happening in the Carolinas. Everyone's coming down here. NASCAR and fine dining usually don't end up in the same sentence, but for this Charlotte area-based chef, they're part of a career. Dwen Ha is the executive chef for Legacy Motor Club. It's the NASCAR team co-owned by seven-time champion Jimmy Johnson, of course, and she's competing on Bravo's Top Shelf Carolinas edition, which opened its premiere episode at Charlotte Motor Speedway. So, I mean, just the cool factor all around, Dwen, and you are part of it. Good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning. I'm happy to be here.
So, where are you joining us from, by the way?
I am in Las Vegas. We have a race this weekend, and so we build a restaurant on the track for our partners and for our sponsors. And so I've been on tour for about 6 weeks with the team, and so this is our last stop before we get a little bit of a break.
Oh my gosh! So you're doing your day job, you're competing on a big show. How do you balance it all?
That's a great question. I have a really good team, so I will say that I have great people that are in my corner. So a lot of people have been kind of helping me along this path. But yeah, there's a lot going on at the moment.
All right, so how did the opportunity come to, first of all, join Legacy Motor Club?
So one of my very close friends, Sarah Turner Wells, she was the one that was brought on to really build out this hospitality program. And I have been cooking in Paris for a long time. That's where I did all my training. I did a lot of fine dining, and I also own a champagne and French wine company. And so I kind of stopped cooking for a little bit, but then a lot of different chefs and restaurant had been reaching out for me to do different pop-ups, restaurant takeovers, and I'd been traveling for that. And she's like, "Oh, well, if you want to travel and be a chef, I actually have this crazy opportunity that we're going to try and pilot if you're interested." So we really started this program last year, and it's something so different than any other team in NASCAR is doing. Like, we really truly build a restaurant on the track, and especially this year we have a rig that follows me around. We build it about for 16 different races this year, and it's such a crazy opportunity, but it's also cool to kind of be a disruptor and kind of create the manual at the same time.
Oh my gosh, we're just looking at some of the video that you have done and in your element here at the Motor Speedway. So what is it like then to compete on something like Top Chef? It seems, of course, cooking, adjacent and related, but a different version of you as a chef.
Yes, definitely a different version, definitely different sides. They build out the challenges in a way where it's like one day maybe if we're doing dessert, or maybe, in the Carolinas, I'm assuming we're going to be doing whole hog. And so you have to really bring out different elements and really pull from a lot of memory and different techniques. And I would say that working with Legacy Motor Club has been a really helpful experience, because I build a new menu for every track, and I try to pay homage to every city that I'm at. So I'm already having this very creative, kind of different, I don't like to keep everything the same. I don't like the status quo. And that really prepared me for Top Chef.
So what was it, what is it like then to have Jimmy Johnson make a surprise appearance? We do know that already happened, the first episode, which was last week, but what was that like?
I was totally surprised. Well, when I'm driving, as we're in the van driving to the Motor Speedway, the chefs, we can't talk to each other until we actually get to the track. And because I've been to the track a few times, as we're getting there, I'm like, oh, I know exactly where we're going right now. So that was already a really fun surprise. Definitely did not think Jimmy Johnson was going to be there. And so when he kind of calls out, he's like, "Hey, Dwayne," I was like, what is happening right now? All my worlds are colliding.
That is so fun. That is so fantastic. So working with speed, you're in a very fast scene, and having to compete with other chefs, that's got to be a skill set that you can easily tap into.
Yeah, I would say so. I think that I have two sous chefs that fly around with me, but then we also hire some local talent as well. The teams are always kind of changing and moving, and we're just very nimble. We like to pivot if, we realize that there's a problem or there's better solutions. And so that comes with the hospitality team, that comes with the food, that comes, and I think that's really helped me for Top Chef, and it's been great.
So what can you say about the rest of the season, and what do you want Charlotte viewers to know about your appearance?
Well, I can't really say much about the rest of the season. Everyone's going to have to tune in, but good try. And I don't know. I think that, being a Vietnamese American chef, I definitely pull a lot of that, kind of the stories of my family. I pull a lot of stories and kind of the inspirations of, a lot of my cooking experience in France, but I definitely am pulling things from working in NASCAR and working with, with Legacy Motor Club. And I think I try to, be pretty dynamic, in the competition. So I guess everyone's just gonna have to wait and see.
All right, sounds good. I'll take that tease. Top Chef, Monday nights on Bravo. Appreciate you joining us here this morning, and we'll be watching you. You're one of our own, so it should be
love
very
it.
fun. All right, appreciate
Thank you so much for having me. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. And we'll be right back on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. At 9:39 on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. If you're a veteran, know a veteran interested in using their business idea but not sure where to start, there is free help later this month, and it's right up the street in Raleigh. So the other great thing here, it costs veterans nothing to join. So joining us this morning here on Live Impact News is Rachel Miller with the Penn Fed Foundation to tell us more. Rachel, thanks for joining us. This sounds like a really good program.
They appreciate it. Yes, so the Penn Fed Foundation for Military Heroes Veteran Entrepreneur Program, we actually have two programs, an accelerator and an incubator. The incubator is a brand new program that we are so excited to bring to Raleigh, and it will be next week, actually. The 18th through the 20th is the kickoff at First Flight Venture Center, and we are still looking for, like you said, veterans and military spouses who have an idea and want to bring that idea to life.
All right, a 3-day event from my understanding?
Yes, it's a 3-day kickoff event followed by 6 weeks of virtual learning and support through the foundation. And it ends with a big virtual presentation and the chance to get some funding. So $5,000, $3,000, or $2,000 for our founders who are showing the most commitment and progress.
Great. So what can participants expect in this 3-day process?
So if you have an idea and you're committed to it, but you just can't figure out how to get this thing off the ground, then that's what we are here for. So we're here to help you to validate your business idea, to work on your business plan, to figure out who your customer is, to figure out the problem, and then how to solve it. So we have very step-by-step, strategic, very systematic, disciplined approach to helping veterans and military spouses build their businesses.
Seems like a good idea because a lot of veterans don't know where to go for assistance once they're out. How is this catered specifically towards the military service members?
So, our military, they're out there serving their country. they're way too busy to have time to grow their network, to find resources, to find mentorship, and to find funding. And so when they are finished with their time in the military, or military spouses who are so busy supporting their spouse through their military service, then they have somewhere to turn where we can help them along that journey. So that is our goal, is to help them to find those resources, to find the mentorship, to grow their network, and to access the funding. We give them a step-by-step approach through our curriculum, and it helps them to launch and scale.
And being in Raleigh, it's already a great place for veteran entrepreneurs, right? What makes it such a quality city to launch a business or learn about supporting veterans?
So our decision to come to Raleigh was actually very strategic. So the PenFed Foundation for Military Heroes, we put out a study every year called the Top Cities for Veteran Entrepreneurs. And it measures things like livability, support for veterans, growing economy, and the ability to start a business. And Raleigh is always fighting for the #1 spot. In 2025, Raleigh ranked #2 on the list. And so we thought that that was a no-brainer to start this program in the Raleigh area.
That's amazing. Only to follow DC. So what do you know?
Yeah.
For those who are not familiar with PenFed Foundation, what is your mission? What else do you do over there?
So our mission is to support the transition. So it's tough. I mean, when you identify your entire career, for many people, as a military serviceman or woman or a military spouse, it's really tough when you finally do leave the military to figure out what that next step is. And that's where we come in. So through the Veteran Entrepreneur Program and through our other initiatives, like our Military Heroes Program, we have several different ways to support that next step, whether that looks like entrepreneurship or entering the corporate world, or just figuring out like, hey, how can I find my identity and find my what's next when you separate from the military.
That's great, Rachel. For those who are eligible, so you said military veterans and military spouses, what do they need to know to sign up?
So all you have to do is go to our website. It is penfedfoundation.org. You'll see our programs and you'll see the Veteran Entrepreneur Program. And under that, click on the incubator for the Raleigh area. And there's a short application process, and then we will reach out to you and make sure that you have a spot next week.
All right, very good. And then if you need a place to stay, I mean, you kind of have to make those arrangements because it is a 3-day in-person event.
It is a 3-day in-person event, but we also have travel scholarships available to help offset some of the cost of traveling to the Raleigh area. So if you are interested in coming into Raleigh and you live a ways away, say you live in Charlotte, for example, you can just reach out, and we have, a little short application to apply for a travel scholarship, because we don't want the cost of getting to the area to be a barrier for anyone.
For sure. Yeah, we're about 3.5 hours away. So relatively short drive, but maybe an overnight or a couple of nights. All right. Thank you, Rachel. March 18th through the 20th, followed by a 6-week virtual follow-up, and get all the help you need to start your business and do it for free. What a great way to support our military veterans and their spouses.
Appreciate you so much. Yes.
Thank you.
If you have any questions, again, feel free to go to our website, penfedfoundation.org, or reach out to me directly. My email is also on the website.
All right, very good. Rachel Miller with the PenFed Foundation. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And we'll be right back on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. At 9:48 here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus, want to take you out now to the press conference outside of Detroit after yesterday's attack on a synagogue. Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer holding the press conference
I'm Rabbi Ariana Gordon
right now.
from
Let's go
Temple,
ahead and
Israel.
listen in on Live Impact
Thank you
News.
for being here today. We're so appreciative of Governor Whitmer and Senator Slotkin for joining us this morning. I just want to start by saying, in the light of a new day, just how deeply appreciative we are of everyone who has come out, who has shown their support for Temple Israel, for our Jewish community. We are incredibly grateful for all of our local law enforcement, for our Temple Israel security, our teachers, our staff, all of whom safely were home last night with their families. As we continue today to spend a lot of time thinking and processing and talking, we are here to have a little conversation and answer some questions, but I'm going to pass it over to Governor Whitmer. Thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi. I can't tell you how much I appreciate your leadership yesterday, and how much my heart goes out to everything that you and your family and all of the families involved and the Jewish community writ large are going through. I wanted to come today for a briefing, which we just concluded, to get up to speed on where things stand. I want to thank our state and local law enforcement, the first responders, our federal partners for their swift work to keep people safe and to investigate. I want to thank Temple Israel's security personnel. They were selfless in their courage, and they saved lives. These heroes threw themselves in harm's way, engaging the suspect, and let's be very clear, yes, this is a place of worship, but at the time that this attack was occurred, it was a school. 104 children, age 5 and younger here. So I want to thank all of Temple Israel's staff who acted quickly to evacuate students and reunite families. The state of Michigan will wrap our arms around this community and support our local and federal partners every step of the way to keep people safe. I want to share prayers from my colleague, Governor Shapiro of Pennsylvania. Josh reached out yesterday to check in and see how people were doing. And I want Michigan's Jewish community to know that we are with you. Violence in our houses of worship and in our schools and in our daycare centers like this hits especially hard. Temple Israel is a pillar of the community. It's one of the largest Reformed Jewish congregations in North America, with Friday night Shabbat services attracting over 1,000 people. People celebrate bar and bat mitzvahs, weddings, and holidays here. Parents bring their children to daycare and school, and it's a place of peace, unity, light, and life. Yesterday's attack was anti-Semitism. It was hate, plain and simple. We will fight this ancient and rampant evil. We will stand together as we do it, and we will call it out. We must lower the rhetoric in this state and in this country, especially at this moment where we've seen such a rise in anti-Semitism and more attacks on the Jewish community. We must keep each other close. This community is on the edge, very understandably. We've seen a rise in attacks, especially over the last decade, especially over the last 10 months. And so it is important for us to stand up, to stand against it, and to thank the people who showed up to support the community, but also call out where we see acts of anti-Semitism, where we see threats, where we see something, how important it is to say something, and to recognize that each of us has a responsibility. People like the person that attacked this community yesterday get fomented by rhetoric that they see online and that they see on television and they hear on the radio. It radicalizes people and it endangers our fellow Michiganders. We cannot let this continue. And so each of us has a duty to take action where and how we can. And with that, I'll hand it over to Senator Slotkin, and then we'll take a couple of questions.
Thank you, Governor. And just want to reiterate, I think it's clear that if it were not for the private security and the staff at Temple Israel, and then the first responders, first on the scene, local law enforcement, if they had not all done their jobs almost perfectly, we would be talking about an immense tragedy here today with children gone. This could have been much, much worse. So I give incredible credit to law enforcement and the people who were in the room, putting themselves and their own families at risk. I think, you know, the governor said it very, very well on the way this community has responded. It's been incredible to watch neighbors in the community here, both organizations and just regular old citizens open up their homes literally yesterday to help care for people who were fleeing from this. And this is a place that I have a very personal connection to. I feel I've spent a lot of my time growing up in and out of this temple, and I feel just an immense amount of pain, as does the rest of the community, that incidents like this even happen. And I think it's just important to be clear, as the governor said, that whether anti-Semitism is coming from the left or the right, whether it's coming from some group that you like or don't like, you have a responsibility to call it out. Because when you don't, it gives permission for people to climb that escalation, that ladder of escalation that goes from saying hateful things online to saying them in person to graffiti to ultimately violence. And the Jewish community suffers 10 times the number of hate crimes than any other community in this country. So it is an epidemic. And until we push back on that permission, we're going to see incidents like this continue to proliferate. The Jewish community spends over $1 billion across the country securing their houses of worship, their schools, their institutions. No community in America should be fearful of having their own kind congregate for things like education and worship. So I stand here proud of the community, but angry that we even are put in this position. Thankful to law enforcement, but asking the average citizen out there, if you have a friend, a colleague, coworkers who are using anti-Semitism in their daily life and feel like it's just normal, please call that out wherever you see it. Thank you.
Governor, may I say a few words?
Yes.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Jonathan Warshay. I'm the Township Supervisor here in West Bloomfield. For those of you unfamiliar with township government in Michigan, my position's like the mayor of a city, elected by the voters, but I'll stop the civics lesson. I think it's fair to say that none of us went to bed Wednesday expecting to wake up Thursday's events. But thanks to the preparation and training of Temple Israel's security team and the West Bloomfield Police Department, the unexpected did not turn into tragedy. Yesterday's incident at Temple Israel is deeply concerning for everyone in West Bloomfield, Michigan, across the country, as well as Jews everywhere. I live in West Bloomfield, and my wife and I are members of Temple Israel, so I have a keen understanding of the effects on the community. We are thankful for the courage and professionalism of our first responders and our partner agencies who move to protect lives and work toward stabilizing the scene. Our thoughts are with all members of Temple Israel and their families. No community should ever feel unsafe gathering in a house of worship or sending their children to school. I want to thank all the officials, colleagues, and members of the public who have reached out to me in solidarity. I would also like to thank the Shenandoah Country Club for hosting the Operations Center and being the site where the preschoolers and parents were reunited. Shenandoah is a wonderful community partner, and I thank them from the bottom of my heart. We'll continue to work closely with law enforcement and community leaders as more information comes available. Thank you, and may God bless us all.
Happy to open it up for a few questions. Yes.
Good morning, Chauncey Passmore, Local 4. Is there any indication that the suspect may have expressed his intent or motives, either whether online or to a loved one, what they had planned to do yesterday?
I appreciate the importance of your question. I am not the appropriate person to answer that. We'll have to defer to the FBI as there's an ongoing investigation. Yeah, John.
Governor, do you think this happened because of the conflict in Iraq?
I'm not putting my theories into the press is not going to help an investigation, so I'm going to refrain from that. I do know that.
As the governor answers questions from the local media on yesterday's attack at a synagogue just outside of Detroit, we will take a break from that and come back in 2 minutes on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Just after 10 o'clock on a Friday morning, how you doing? Jane Monreal here with you on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus, where we cover your local, national, and international news headlines, as well as bring you in-depth, long-form conversations on anything from entertainment to features to scams. And this morning, scammers are using technology. They're getting really sophisticated to prey on your worst fears. Maybe that a loved one's in trouble and they need your help right now. Julie Henderson is the president of the North Carolina Bail Agents Association, has been seeing these so-called jail scams up close, and joins us now to help us recognize what's going on here so you're not left asking, where's the money? Julie, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So walk us through one of these scams. What does the process typically look like?
So what you may have is a loved one that's incarcerated in North Carolina, and then you will get a phone call from someone who is pressuring you to either put up money directly over the phone, through Bitcoin, through suspicious apps, through potentially gift cards. And that is obviously a scam. And unfortunately, the elderly and those that are usually preyed upon are getting hit hard.
Yeah, they've gotten really bold and even approaching families outside of a bonds office. How is that possible?
So what we've had is my own office specifically and several other agents throughout the state of North Carolina. You have people who know the system well enough, and maybe that's because they've been through the process or they've researched a little bit, unfortunately. They're meeting folks in parking lots, claiming that they are actually a bail agent for that office, taking funds and giving dummy receipts.
Okay, so that's a red flag. If you get someone, if someone approaches you, then in this case, what should they do?
They should first, if there's any doubt whatsoever, you should always contact the facility where that loved one is incarcerated. Let's ensure that they are there first and foremost, and they're actually incarcerated. Let's make sure that there is no extra fees or things that they're proclaiming over the phone. And let's ensure that you also use a licensed bail bondsman, which can be found online. A simple Google search will take you to the North Carolina Judicial page, where you will find a list of all licensed bail bondsmen. Licensed bondsmen should also have a license issued to them by the North Carolina Department of Insurance.
Okay, so if it's a phone call case, how is AI playing a role now, trying to clone someone's voice, and how do you tell the difference?
I think that there are some remedies for that. You can have a safe word with your family that you would use or give across the phone line if you were ever in an emergency situation or any type of scam. Scams are not just pinned down to bail scams. So if someone's ever contacting a family member for money for them, they should have a password, if you will. But AI is coming into play just like it is into every type of scam. They could clone that voice or use something very similar and then prey on a loved one's family.
And because this is such an emotional scam, they tug on your fears and panic sets in. How does one think clearly in that moment?
I think you have to take a step back. You have to just verify the information that you are getting on that phone call. You must do it in almost every circumstance that we're involved in these days, but specifically when somebody's pressuring you, and they will pressure you. Hey, you've got to give us this money or they're not going to be released, or they're going to be sent to another facility, or they're not going to be able to contact you. They are very good about putting the pressure on. No bail agent should ever put that much pressure on you. So you can always stop, back up, take a breath, and contact that facility to ensure that this is true, that this is factual.
Wow, it's amazing what they're able to get away with, like a lot of money, like you said, Bitcoin, gift cards, what have you. If you're in the middle of, say, a transaction or a process and you realize you're getting scammed, or even the aftermath of having been scammed, what does one do?
One should immediately contact law enforcement in the jurisdiction that they are in, whether that be the police department, whether they're in the city limits, or the sheriff's department if they're in the county. They can also contact the North Carolina Department of Insurance. They are investigating and following up on these scams. And then also you could go as far as to report this to the Attorney General's office. They could, in fact, actually investigate these, but they haven't had any specific or direct complaints to their office as of yet. The Department of Insurance has, and I know that the Sheriff's Departments have as well.
All right, Julie, anything else that folks should know before, they become a victim, or they just want to prevent becoming a victim?
Yeah, I just want folks to take a breath, take a minute, just like we talked about before. Verify the information, and please do not send money over the phone to anyone if you are not certain whom you are dealing with.
All right, Julie Henderson, president of the North Carolina Bail Agents Association. Good information. Appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you, ma'am.
And we'll be right back on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. At 10:09 here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus, our Miles Harris drew the short straw, covering the ACC tournament.
Must be so awful for him,
isn't it? It's just, the basketball.
He's probably not even interested at all.
Right. I'm just like, got to do some basketball. Bring all the teams into town. All right, so he is in Uptown this morning, and he's covering the ACC tournament. It looks like it's an empty Spectrum Center right now. So he did file this for us. Let's go ahead and play this for you on Live Impact News.
All right, guys, the stage is set for some semifinal action in the ACC tournament. So we're going to have Miami taking on Virginia on one half, followed by Duke. They're going to take on Clemson on the other half, and it should be exciting. And we were so close to getting a chance to see Duke taking on North Carolina in that matchup, but instead we're going to get Clemson. Got to give credit to Clemson there. They've been playing really, really well this tournament. Defensively, they have shown that they are one of the second best and top two, I should say, in the ACC when it comes to being on the defensive end. And so we'll see how that matchup looks against powerhouse Duke later on tonight with that game set to tip off around 9:30. Before that game, we're going to get Miami taking on Virginia, where those teams have also looked really, really good. So far we have seen so many dramatic games with dramatic finishes, and I could see what that looks like tonight, but that matchup and that championship set to take place tomorrow.
We were just saying he's so good.
He's so good. He's moving around.
Showing
There's no
us-
one there.
But even that, it's like, oh, okay. I mean,
it's very
he's
casual.
giving us the, who's going to play. He knows the
mentioned
whole
your
lineup.
U.
Shout out to the U. All right, I'm still trying.
Y'all are playing Virginia.
Virginia,
today, right?
Yep, later tonight.
That's right. Y'all are
I'd
trying
be
to get
going.
tickets.
Yeah, I got the phone.
You're looking
Honey,
now.
still waiting for my text saying,
Hey, honey, I got
do
it.
you want to go for this price? Do you want to go for this price? Oh, all right. I'll let
putting
you
out
know.
good vibes.
I'll let you know if
Yes.
we're going. You can look for me. I'll be wearing orange and green if I
course.
do. It's going to be a sweatshirt though.
Of course.
Cold. It's cold outside. We are going to keep this thing going after this break on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. At 10:13, welcome back to Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I want to get you back out to Michigan, where Governor Gretchen Whitmer is holding a press conference, taking questions now from the media after yesterday's attack on a synagogue.
Yeah, so.
Governor, do you think this happened because of the conflict in Iraq?
I'm not putting my theories into the press is not going to help an investigation, so I'm going to refrain from that. I do know that we have seen a rise in anti-Semitism. We have seen it over many years, predating the conflict, but certainly it is at a historic high, and I worry that that will continue. And so it's why I am calling on anyone with a platform to be very responsible with their rhetoric, not to identify or target the Jewish community. That is anti-Semitism writ large, and I don't think that any of us should permit or allow that to stand. And that's why I'm asking people to turn down the rhetoric.
Governor, on that note, Josh Landon, Fox 2 Detroit, we have a very diverse community, Jewish, Arab, and so on and so on. When it comes to lowering the temperature, because we talk to each other, we work together, we build families amongst each other, what's the message you can deliver to help lower the temperature?
I think I'm trying to deliver that message right now, that we are Michiganders. This was a school. These are 0 to 5-year-olds that were targeted yesterday, 104. My friend Brian said this could have looked a lot more like Sandy Hook, right? Like, let's not lose sight of that. This is not a political moment. This is not a political debate. This is targeting babies who are Jewish. That's anti-Semitism at its absolute worst, and that's why we cannot lose sight of that, the importance of keeping everyone in Michigan safe by being responsible in how we talk about issues and how we treat one another.
Governor, one last question. Are members of the Jewish community in Michigan safe right now to be going to synagogue?
You know what, I will defer to Stephen. I can tell you that I believe that there are so many wonderful people who are planning to have Shabbat services and dinner this evening. I will work my hardest to make sure that we're supplementing efforts to keep people safe. At the same time, in combination with that, turning down the rhetoric to keep these instances from happening, being able to respond when they do, but keeping them from happening in the first place is a part of our duty and our goal. Do you want to address that?
I would simply say that private security is ready, and our partners in law enforcement, both state, local, and federal, are ready to do it, and we will be there. Like I said yesterday, we will continue to live proud Jewish lives. We will come back stronger, and we will be there tonight on Shabbat services and tomorrow morning. That will not stop. That will not end. No matter how much they try, that will not stop us.
Senator Scott, John Wisely from the Free Press, can you address the Department of Homeland Security is not fully funded right now. Do you fear that leaves us less prepared for incidents like these than we should be?
Yeah, I would just say the department, because they are essential workers, they have been, at work. Certainly in Michigan, we have a ton of DHS folks, the CBP, and so they are on the call and they are doing their jobs. Certainly, we need to fund the Department of Homeland Security, and we need, in my view, to cut away all the conversation on ICE, which is its own conversation, from all the core missions of the Department of Homeland Security. But they're essential. They're on the job. They're working today.
I have a question.
Anyone? Governors.
Go ahead, one last one.
Seeing Jake Schaff, Civic Center TV, seeing the response from West Bloomfield and resilience of our law enforcement, what do you think this showcases to the state of Michigan and the rest of the United States?
Well, I'll just say it was incredible how the teachers and the staff, how the local law enforcement, federal agencies, state agencies all worked together quickly, acted selflessly. I know they're trained to do that, and they don't even like it when you thank them for doing their jobs, but it's incredible to see people run to the fire to help kids get out, and everyone got home last night. There are a couple people, or a number of people, that had to go to the hospital for smoke inhalation, and will continue to improve, but I think that it was amazing to see that they were able to keep everyone safe at the end of the day, and it should be a source of pride. It should also be a moment of reflection where we all ask ourselves, why does this happen in this country, and what can we each do to keep it from happening in the future? And with that, I thank you all. Thank you all. Take care, stay safe, and should you have questions, more specific questions, please direct them to FBI and law enforcement. Thank you so much.
And we'll be back in 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. At 10:21, a Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Earlier this morning, a Pentagon briefing wrapped up with Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth as well as General Dan Kane talking about the latest incidents happening across the Mideast, including 4 U.S. service members who perished in a fatal plane crash. This was not because of hostile fire. It was a refueling plane crash in Iraq. As well as learning Hegseth also saying that Iran's new supreme leader, injured since pretty much day 1, day 2 of this conflict in Iran, is most likely, quote, wounded and likely disfigured. We continue to play out this Pentagon briefing that wrapped up. If you missed it earlier this morning, here it is on WCNC Plus.
Good guys are here, and the American people do too. And that makes my job simple. I serve God, the troops, the country, the Constitution, and the President of the United States, and answer only to those, all in service of victory on the battlefield and the military objectives that we've laid out from day 1. Defeat the missiles, missile launchers, and defense industrial base, which I laid out today. Defeat the Navy and deny Iran the ability to have a nuclear weapon. Clear, decisive, achievable. And Admiral Cooper knows, the CENTCOM commander who we spent a couple of hours with last night, that in pursuit of those objectives, we have his back in every way. His commanders know that, and so do the troops in harm's way. Admiral Cooper gets what he needs, the assets, the authorities, the munitions, you name it. We will stop at nothing to win. War is hell. War is chaos. And as we saw yesterday with the tragic crash of our KC-135 tanker, bad things can happen. American heroes, all of them. And as I have with all of them, as we have, we will greet those heroes at Dover, and their sacrifice will only recommit us to the resolve of this mission. But war in this context and in pursuit of peace is necessary, which is why each day on bended knee we continue to appeal to heaven, to Almighty God's providence, to watch over and give special skill and confidence to our leaders and to our warriors. To those warriors who this nation prays for every single day, I hear from all of you out there who pray for them every day. Stay on bended knee and pray for them. I continue to say to them, Godspeed. May the Lord bless you and keep keep going. Mr. Chairman, over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary, and good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining us today. Before I start with an update, I also want to address the tragic loss of our KC-135 refueling aircraft yesterday. The incident occurred over friendly territory in western Iraq while the crew was on a combat mission, and again was not the result, as CENTCOM has said, was not the result of hostile or friendly fire. We're still treating this as an active rescue and recovery operation. As CENTCOM announced this morning, 4 airmen have been recovered, and the Air Force and U.S. Central Command will provide updates as information becomes available. Please keep these brave airmen, their families, friends, and units in your thoughts in the coming hours and days. Our service members make an incredible sacrifice to go forward and do the things that the nation asks of them. It's a reminder of the true cost of the dedication and commitment of the Joint Force. We're also aware of a fire on board the USS Gerald R. Ford. We're thinking about the crew there who are injured in the fire. We believe and hope that everyone will be okay, and we're grateful for that. And for any further questions on that, we'd refer you to NAVCENT or to the Navy. This morning we enter the 13th day of Operation Epic Fury, and we continue to make progress towards our military objectives. As the Secretary said, today will be our heaviest day of kinetic fires across the operating area. CENTCOM continues to attack ballistic missile and drone capabilities so that they are no longer a threat to U.S. forces, our bases, or our partners. They're continuing to destroy the Iranian Navy to ensure freedom of navigation, and this means going after Iran's mine-laying capability and destroying their ability to attack commercial vessels. And we're targeting their defense industrial base so they cannot rebuild the capabilities that can harm America's interests or our partners in the future. As Admiral Cooper said in his update on Wednesday, Iranian combat power continues to decline as a result of the continued strikes, as the Secretary talked about. We've attacked over 6,000 targets, and our strike packages continue to launch every hour, and we've maintained an unprecedented number of sorties up overhead of Iran. CENTCOM is now persistently over the enemy, and as a result, we've seen a reduction in missile and one-way attack fires, as the Secretary said. In less than 2 weeks, we've rendered the Iranian Navy combat ineffective and continue to attack naval vessels, including all of their Soleimani-class warships, which were armed with anti-ship missiles and anti-aircraft weapons. We've made progress, but Iran still has the capability to harm friendly forces and commercial shipping, and our work on this effort continues. But I want to make something clear. The only thing preventing commercial traffic and flow through the Straits right now, which there is some through the Straits, is Iran. They are the belligerents here holding the Straits closed, although there is some traffic moving through there. We've made it a priority to target Iran's mine-laying enterprise, their mine layers, the naval bases and depots, in addition to the missiles that could influence the Straits, and CENTCOM continues to attack those efforts. And we continue to make progress on the industrial base to include factories, weapons, warehouses that are stored in, and we will continue to do so in the coming days, especially today. Now, as I often do, I want to share a little bit about our incredible joint force. Today, I'm going to talk about our incredible artillery force comprised of American soldiers and Marines who've been sinking ships, destroying depots, and launching Army tactical missile systems, or ATACMS, precision strike missiles, or PrSMs, and high-mobility rocket systems, or HIMARS. From outside Iran, our Army and Marine artillerymen are hitting sites that Iran relies on to project power beyond their borders and protect our deployed. In just the first 13 days of this operation, our artillery forces have made history. They fired the first precision strike missiles ever used in combat, reaching deep into enemy territory. They've used Army ATACMS to sink multiple ships, including a submarine, and they've done all of this with the precision and determination that comes from relentless training and trust in each other and in their weapon systems. Yesterday, I had the incredible honor and privilege of speaking with some of our young soldiers from the 3rd Battalion, 27th Field Artillery Regiment out of Fort Bragg, North Carolina, the unit and the crew that fired the first precision strike missiles. The soldiers I met came from all over this great country: New York, Texas, Delaware, California. One had been in the Army only 6 months and been in the unit for 2 months and was already deployed. He was the youngest at 20, but you would not know it from the way that they talked about their mission. The others were 22 and 28 years old. They spoke with a sense of calm pride, purpose, and clarity that tells you clearly they understand the weight of what they're doing and the people who depend on them. I asked him to walk me through a fire mission. I asked not just what they do, but what they feel, especially those first crew members on this particular mission. These soldiers basically live in these vehicles behind us. The cab, very tight, 2 folks sit next to each other with the crew commander behind them. It's jammed inside there with their personal weapons and kit, and they sit and wait for a fire mission. And when that fire mission comes, they close the armored doors and begin to program the systems. They then throw 3 simple toggle switches, and 10 to 15 feet behind them, a rocket motor ignites, and the round is headed downrange to do the nation's work. I asked these youngsters, these young, awesome Americans, what does that feel like? And one of them just looked at me and said, "It's awesome." No drama, no hesitation, in the middle of the day, in the middle of the night, in the sun, the rain, and the snow, flawless execution. Their Marine counterparts are out there doing the same thing every night. Same work, same pressure, same expectations, same results. And we hand tremendous and enormous responsibility to these young Americans, and they carry it with a level of maturity, grit, professionalism, and tenacity that makes me incredibly proud to be a part of their joint force. Their parents and families would and should be incredibly proud, and their leaders and I trust them to do the deeds that they must do in difficult circumstances every single time. I also want to touch today I want to touch for a moment today on their leadership. These young Americans are led by extraordinary young leaders out at the tactical edge. Yesterday, the battery commander and her NCO were there with this crew on the same video screen. The 2 of them hardly said a word. They didn't have to. In their eyes, and in particular the commander's eyes, you could see the quiet trust and confidence she had in these soldiers and the rest of their battery. It came through loud and clear, and we appreciate their leadership. When I asked these soldiers yesterday, what is it that you need from the Secretary and I, they looked at each other, paused for a moment, and looked back at me and said, "More rounds, sir." It was awesome. So thank you to those soldiers and Marines out on the firing line supporting our mission, and thank you to their families. Our joint force will continue today to deliver dynamic fires against the enemy from the land, sea, and air. We remain deeply grateful for their service, and for the 3rd time today, I'll mention that today will be our busiest day. This mission remains complex, dangerous, and difficult, and every service member has a family waiting for them to return home. And I want to thank all of the families today who are supporting their deployed forces and those doing the work here in the States. On a personal note today, I also want to thank the Joint Staff and the team that I have the pleasure of working with, some of them right here in this room. They are working 24 hours a day to deliver the options that we must to the Secretary and to the President. Today, as I close, I ask that we remember our fallen and those participating in the recovery operations to bring home our lost KC-135 crew, that we keep those service members and their families in their thoughts and prayers. Those are very, very, very tough days when that knock comes on the door for people on both sides of the door. Again, thank you to our deployed, thank you to our fallen, and to their families, and to the Joint Force. And with that, I'll turn it back to you, sir.
Mr. Chairman.
Alexandra Ingersoll, One America News. Can you tell us a little bit more about the Strait of Hormuz and when it might be fully operational again? And how do we ensure our objective of denying Iran a nuclear weapon if they continue to align with our adversaries?
So I'll take it and chime in, Mr. Chairman, if you'd like it all. I want to emphasize what the chairman said about that. The only thing prohibiting transit in the Straits right now is Iran shooting at shipping. It is open for transit should Iran not do that. Now, there's a reason why we chose as one of our primary objectives destroy the Navy. We understood the ability to interdict shipping is something Iran has done for 40 years. It's key terrain. They've used it as leverage. The world is seeing what they'll do to fight back in that context. And so we've heard them talk about taking various measures, and we're planning for all of them. So we have a plan for every option here. We're working with our interagency partners, and that's not a strait we're going to allow to remain contested or with a lack of flow of commercial goods. So we're aware of that. We're laser focused on our military objectives, but also want to make sure our partners across this government understand we're working with you to make sure that energy flows, and that's an important part. And the second question was on the nuclear capability. As we've said from the beginning, their strategy shifted just from defense of their nuclear facilities to a conventional umbrella of so many missiles that no one would challenge their ability to the opportunity to defeat their nuclear capabilities. And it was growing by the day. So with Iran at its weakest moment, going at that ballistic missile capability creates an opportunity to ensure at any point in time that Iran give up their nuclear capabilities, or if need be, you prevent them from doing it, as the President has done once already with Operation Midnight Hammer, obliterating those capabilities. So the conventional side is a huge part at getting at denying nuclear capabilities, if you have anything you want to add.
I appreciate the question. I'm not going to comment on what we may or may not be thinking about any options that the Joint Force could be tasked to do in the future, whether it's on the nuke matter or anything else. Thank you.
But we have options.
Of the mines that are in the Strait of Hormuz and our ability to, obliterate them?
We retain a range of options to solve a whole variety of problems, and that is one set of options that we have, that we hold on to. So, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary Hegseth. Mary Margaret with Daily Wire. Thank you both for the update. ABC News has updated its story from yesterday, clarifying that the FBI report on Iran possibly striking California was unverified. I just want to ask you, what impact did that original reporting have on the public, and does Iran even have the ability to conduct such a strike? And then just really quickly on another note, what role did Vice President Vance play in counseling the President on this conflict? Can you speak to some of the media reporting suggesting that there is a division there?
That reporting on California obviously had no impact on us. Also, we're used to bad reporting. We're used to ill-informed reporting. And so it doesn't change how we operate, but we engage with it to prove that it's not true, as CENTCOM has done so well. Ultimately, I look at the reports on a daily basis of our interagencies all over it. My partners across government are all over, looking for indications and warnings, keeping the American people safe. There's a lot of things Iran has said it can do for a long time, thankfully, including engaging their proxies and getting them involved in the fight, which they haven't been able to do. So we're watching that very closely. And as far as the Vice President, he's an incredible member, leader of this team as well, alongside the President and the Secretary of State. I can't say enough great stuff about this team, how it works together, how it provides options to the President, and the Vice President every single day is a key voice in that, an indispensable voice in that, actually. In the middle there, red tie. Yes.
Michael Gordon, Wall Street Journal. Iran is thought to have
440 kilograms of highly enriched uranium in at least 2 locations and several thousand kilograms of lower purity material. Can you conclude this mission successfully without physically taking control of that material, or are you counting on diplomatic negotiations to provide some measure of control leading to its removal? You've mentioned missiles, you've mentioned drones, military industry. You haven't stipulated that taking care of that material is a mission priority.
We've said from the beginning, deny Iran nuclear weapons as a core mission. We retain options across the spectrum to ensure that they never do. And President Trump has said that. And that's why this mission actually couldn't have been possible without Midnight Hammer. Without what those B-2s did going across and obliterating those facilities, that set the condition for the opportunity to do what we're doing now. So the president's kept his eye focused on nuclear capabilities. And I will say we have a range of options, up to and including Iran deciding that they will give those up, which of course we would welcome. They weren't willing to do in negotiations. I would never tell this group or the world what we're willing to do or how far we're willing to go, but we have options, for sure. Right next to him.
Me?
No, right there.
Right here, sir? Right here? I'll take it, for
Quarter
sure.
zip right there, yep. No, you, yep.
Okay, thank you, sir. Can you please provide some guidance? It's been 13 days in. Can you please provide some guidance, both of you, about the strike on the girls' school? There's been reporting that indicates that preliminary inquiry, even though it's ongoing, has determined that the airstrike was carried out by the United States. Given that there is another competing narrative that this was done intentionally, can you provide us with some guidance about whether this was the case? Secondly, we are also getting, we had heard yesterday from Energy Secretary Wright that said that the U.S. Navy would not be ready until the end of the month to provide escorts through the Strait of Hormuz. Is that an accurate assessment? And if so, can you tell us why? Thank you.
Well, with an issue on your first topic, an issue of such seriousness, we're not going to let reporting lead us or force our hand into indicating what happened in a particular situation, because the truth matters. So I can report that CENTCOM has designated an investigating officer to complete a command investigation. The command investigation will take as long as necessary to address all the matters surrounding this incident. And the investigating officer is from outside CENTCOM and is a general officer. But I will note to this group and to the world, there's only one entity in this conflict between us and Iran that never targets civilians. Literally never targets civilians. I look at the process that's used on dynamic strikes or on boat strikes and others. We have a very high fidelity process in that case. So we don't target, Iran does. We will investigate, and we'll get to the truth, and we'll share it when we have it. Absolutely. And what was the second
question? About the Strait of Hormuz, about the Navy. Secretary Wright.
It's a tactically complex environment, and before I think we want to take anything through there at scale, we want to make sure that we do the work pursuant to our current military objectives to do that safely and smartly. So we're continuing to develop.
And we do a lot of work.
Yeah.
And like I said, it is dynamic, but this is, I think, almost by 20% the largest day of strikes. And as I said, our intelligence just gets better and better. That feedback loop feeds itself. And as we refine those targets, it exponentially increases what we can hit and why, to include strategic things the world's talking about and looking at. And it's our job to have a plan for it, which we do, to address it and ensure that the president has options. We've done that from the beginning in this department. He'll have options on that topic as well. Right here.
United States, they carried out that strike, sir?
An investigation is an investigation. That's what it is. It doesn't mean anything other than that. Yes.
Ryan Morgan with the Epic Times. Regarding today's busy day of strikes, last week you guys discussed the progress of the air campaign to gain air superiority and to transition from these standoff weapons launched at range to more overhead strikes. Can you now say that these strikes today are going to rely entirely on stand-in over-the-top weapons, or are standoff range weapons still in play?
It's a great question. I can say based on the report I read this morning at 0600, only 1% of the munitions we're using today are standoff munitions. The rest are over-the-top, the types of which we have a plethora, which was our goal from the beginning. You use standoff, which are more exquisite. You transition to a much larger magazine depth, ensuring that you're preserving all the capabilities you have and your options across the force. Absolutely.
Has Iran placed any mines
Right
since
here.
the war
Lisa.
started? Is Iran placing new mines?
We've heard them talk about it, just like you've reported recklessly and wildly about it. But we have no clear evidence. We have no clear evidence of that.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Secretary, given everything the U.S. have accomplished in the last 24 hours, as of today, how do you define success in this military option? And has that definition changed from day one? And also regarding Iran government telling countries hosting U.S. American bases that they could face attacks, what is the Pentagon doing about that?
First question is, what is the objective?
How do you define success as of today?
Yeah, I mean, we define success, again, 13 days in, by reaching the military objectives that we've laid out. Launchers, missile launchers, defense industrial base, their Navy, the ability to project power in the naval sense, leading toward denying them to get a nuclear weapon. And we've got internal metrics that look at that we represent to the President, who then can decide how long he'd like to continue in pursuit of those military objectives. So that hasn't changed. There's a lot of things a lot of people talk about, what they want us to do or what we should do or what we should stay focused on. And again, I've addressed this before, and I think it's worth saying again, mission creep, or expansive missions, or prolonged timelines, or democracy building, or nation building, you name it, has not been part of what President Trump wants us to be involved in. We're solving for something here, this particular mission set, but also recognizing this country's conditioned to previous leaders, whether it's George W. Bush or Barack Obama or Joe Biden, who had these expansive, nebulous mission sets that kept changing all the time, so the timeline kept moving, and we kept pouring more troops in and on the ground, and then pretty soon everyone wonders, like I did in Afghanistan in 2012, what's our mission here? I'm not clear what it is. We're taking the opposite approach here and saying we've defined these objectives, we're pursuing those objectives, the President has his hand on the throttle and will decide ultimately when they've been reached that serve the purposes of the United States of America, American interests first.
And regarding the threats to countries hosting...
Yeah, right here.
Thank you, Secretary Hegseth. Polls show over 80% of Republicans support the President's military action in Iran, but there's some consternation in parts of the party, particularly from your fellow Fox News alum, Tucker Carlson. He called the war disgusting and evil, and then said of unconditional surrender, which the President has called for, means foreign troops get to rape your wives and daughters. Have you heard these comments, and what's your reaction to them?
We're busy executing on behalf of great patriotic Americans with a clear mission that's 47 years overdue, and we're going to execute on that regardless of what people say about it. Yeah, right here.
You have said that the U.S. military has essentially aerial superiority, naval superiority over Iran, yet we're not escorting ships through the Strait of Hormuz. Why? How did you not plan for this?
We planned for it. We recognize it. Because ultimately we want to do it sequentially in a way that makes the most sense for what we want to achieve, and ensure that we're sending the right signals to the world when we do so. So when Chris Wright speaks or we speak, it's based on a full assessment of what we're up against, what we want to say to the world, how that we want them to see and understand the conflict. It's like this whole idea of the war widening. That's what the press wants to make it look like it's widening and chaos is ensuing. No, we're actually closing in on grabbing hold of and controlling what objectives we want to achieve and how we want to achieve them. It's called shaping operations and setting the conditions. But when you shape the environment, you don't always tell. I mean, foolish political leaders and foolish military leaders of the past will hang an exact deadline on it. Or here's exactly when we'll do what we're going to do. Or here's how long it's going to take us. And then if you meet that, maybe you meet it. But if you don't, you fail, and if you're far beyond, we know exactly what we're shaping and why. We're sending those signals working across the interagency. The Strait of Hormuz is something we've paid attention to from the beginning. And the American people can rest assured we will ensure that our interests are advanced, no doubt. Yeah, right there, green jacket.
Mike Brass with the Washington Examiner. How many American casualties have there been, and where were the American service members when they were injured?
I mean, it's a bunch of return to duty, so we've had the large majority have gone in for some medical treatment and return to duty. We've had in Kuwait, Jordan, down across the southern flank a little bit, a variety of places, most from one-way attack strikes.
But I want to clarify that. I think what we've
And
tried to
Saudi
do here
Arabia.
is clarify those numbers rather than saying
Yeah.
KIA or WIA wounded, be more clear about that, because the overwhelming majority, almost 90%, thank God, are returned to duty, minor injuries returned to duty. And so that number can look a certain way, and our job is to add some fidelity to it. Absolutely, right here.
Mr. Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. David Zia, Real America's Voice. Can you share what types of munitions have been used on the attacks on commercial shipping? Have any hit mines? And are USVs, unmanned surface vehicles, being used? And just a quick follow-up, were there any arrests in Fort Campbell with the drone thefts?
I'm not familiar with the Fort Campbell thing. The strikes that Iran has taken on shipping up north in the vicinity of Kuwait have been, I believe, from surface-to-surface missiles up there. We've not seen any USV activity out of Iran that we've seen in the Gulf at this point.
Nor have any ships hit mines or anything
Yeah, there's
like
been
that.
no
It's still flowing through the
There's
strait.
been no strikes that we've.
One more time, right here.
Thank you so much. Heather Mullins, Lindell TV. My first question is, President Trump is set to meet with Xi Jinping in a couple weeks. How much support, if any, has China been given the Iranian regime? And then the second question, just, I know President Trump calling for an unconditional surrender from Iran. Given that the U.S. is working in partnership with Israel on this whole operation, is Iran expected to meet demands of both countries or just the U.S., and what are those demands?
Well, we're proud to partner with the incredible capabilities the Israelis have, but our objectives are our objectives. And so when those are met, as we meet those, we'll set the tempo of when. What was the first question?
He's meeting with Xi Jinping
Oh,
in a
yeah.
couple
The president
weeks.
has
What's China's
a
role in all of it?
historic relationship with President Xi. They look forward to having a dynamic conversation. Two powers. President Trump ultimately has established terms of that relationship which advance the United States of America, and that meeting will continue to ensure we advance that. That's all I've got. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
And that briefing at the Pentagon wrapped up with a lot of updates. Again, 6 U.S. crew members on that refueling aircraft now confirmed dead this morning. We'll be right back on Live Impact News on WCNC+. Back here now at 10:52 on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Because of so much breaking news yesterday afternoon, we did not get to the presser, the latest conference, news conference on NASA and Artemis's latest newser as they are looking forward, trying to do a launch now slated for March 19th. So let's play this for you now here on Live Impact News.
Live view of the Artemis II rocket and spacecraft inside the Vehicle Assembly Building at NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida. Today we'll discuss the outcome of this week's flight readiness review for Artemis II. Welcome and thank you for joining us today. I'm Rachel Kraft with NASA Communications, and we're joined today by several NASA managers who are going to share details about the outcome of the flight readiness review and answer your questions. They are Dr. Lori Glaze, Acting Associate Administrator for NASA's Exploration Systems Development Mission Directorate, John Honeycutt, Chair of the Artemis II Mission Management Team, Sean Quinn, Exploration Ground Systems Program Manager, and Norm Knight, Director of Flight Operations. So we'll have some opening remarks from our panelists today, then we'll get into question and answers from both you here in the room as well as on the phone. A reminder to those who have joined us by phone, you can join the question queue by pressing *1. And with that, we'll start with Lori.
Great. Thank you so much, Rachel. It's great to be here again with you all. And thank you so much for the turnout. Thank you for being here and for the tremendous interest, sustained interest even in Artemis II. As Rachel said, we just completed, about a couple hours ago, we completed 2 days of discussions as part of our Artemis II flight readiness review. The flight readiness review is our final big assessment of our readiness for launch, where we are going to, when we launch, fly 4 astronauts around the moon and bring them home safely. An incredible amount of work has gone into preparing for this test flight by thousands of people across our integrated team. At the conclusion of the flight readiness review, I'll just say during the flight readiness review, we had extremely thorough discussions, very open, transparent. We talked a lot about our risk posture and how we're mitigating those risks. We reviewed the challenges that we've had and how we've addressed them. And we talked about the work that remains, what's left to do, and how we're going to get through all of that. We were fortunate to have our crew join us virtually for the review from Houston: Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, Christina Cook, and Jeremy Hansen. Having them join us in this review really reinforced the importance of having open, honest discussions about our path forward and about the risks that we're asking them to take. At the conclusion of the FRR, all the teams polled go to launch and fly Artemis II around the moon, pending completion of some of the work before we roll out to the launch pad. Just a reminder to everybody, we talk about it every time we talk about this flight. It's a test flight, and it is not without risk, but our team and our hardware are ready. We are planning to roll out to the pad, back out to the pad, targeting next week, a week from today on the 19th. We are on track for that. Everything's going pretty well. Maybe even a little ahead of that, but we're shooting for the 19th. And then once we get back out to the pad, we'll configure for launch. Pending completion of the work in the VAB and at the pad, we are on track for a launch as early as April 1st. And we are working toward that date. I'll say the launch time on the April 1st is at 6:24 p.m. I also wanted to note, I'm sure many of you have seen our little calendar with the green squares on it that shows the available dates for launches in April. We have also just continued to refine our analyses of launch availability and are adding April 2nd to our calendar of potential launch opportunities in that early April launch period.
More to come from Artemis and NASA as they hope to launch again on March 19th. We're coming up on 11 o'clock on Live Impact News. Charlotte Today is up next. Have a great rest of the morning, and I'll see you back on WCNC Charlotte at 4.